Hi, I'm Hans Verhoeven. I teach drums at Vancouver Island University in beautiful Nanaimo, and I'm here to talk to you today about time. Trying to develop your ability to play with a really good time. Other people might refer to it as playing with a really strong groove or being in the pocket. Whatever you want to call it, it's the thing that makes people love music and want to listen to it and want to dance to it and want to listen to it over and over and over again. So if you're playing music and it doesn't have the groove, if you're not in the pocket, if you're not playing with good time, something is very wrong. Often we use a metronome to make sure that we develop the ability to play with really consistent time. Now, if you're playing the drum set, you got to think that the cymbal doesn't play itself. So if you want the cymbal to go ding, you have to move the drumstick. So that means that how you move the drumstick determines how you sound. So if you are moving inconsistently, you are going to have an inconsistent sound. And if you're moving consistently, you're going to have a consistent sound. You're going to have a constant flow of consistent time where all the notes are the same distance apart from each other. And that's what gives it that special feeling, that groove. Okay, the best way to develop your ability to feel the time, hear the time, and play the time is to put the metronome really slow. Now, if you have a conventional metronome like this, you'll notice that these metronomes go as slow as 40 beats per minute. When the metronome is really slow, when the time or the click or the pulse is really slow, it means that you have to subdivide that time into smaller groups so it's easier to keep track of. And also the subdivision gives the music its particular feel. So if I'm playing pretty slow, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, I'm doing eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So I just switched to eighth note triplets. They've got a different feel. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 and 3 and 4 E and maybe some 16th notes at the end there. So these rhythms give the music a very different feel, and it's very important to know which rhythms you're working with within the structure of the pulse. So let's work with triplets. If you want to play really slow, jazz, swing feel on the drum set, you need to work with triplets because the ride cymbal plays this pattern. Chang, chang, da, dang, chang, da, dang, chang, da, dang, chang, da, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. So when you're subdividing in triplets and you're going slow on the metronome, you can actually hear that the subdivisions are pretty fast. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. If you want to go even slower than that, which eventually we will, it makes you become even more aware of where all those different triplet notes are. And that's what we're going to get to. But let's back up and start with triplets at 40 beats per minute. So if we're subdividing 40 into 3, 40 times 3 is going to be 120, right? So that's going to sound like this. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. And here's that jazz ride pattern. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, triplet, 4, triplet, 1. The problem with this is the metronome is doing all the work. It's keeping track of all the triplets. We're not really doing anything. So let's put the metronome back at 40 and start doing some of that work ourselves. Okay, here we are back at 40 beats per minute. And now we have to find the triplets. And we have to keep track of them ourselves. The reason we're doing this is because when you go to perform with your band in a live situation or you go to a rehearsal, you don't have a metronome. So the metronome is a tool to help us develop consistent time. But when we go to perform, that consistent time must be generated from within. So that's why we need to start finding the triplets, finding the subdivisions ourselves and keeping track of them. So 1, 2, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 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 for hours. You'll also notice that I'm trying to move very consistently. I use like a sort of a constant flow of consistent motion because I want a constant flow of consistent time, a constant flow of consistent sound. The motion makes the sound, right? Swing with metronome on all 4 beats at 60 beats per minute. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Once you start getting good at this, this starts to feel really easy. So what would be the next logical thing to do? We're still going to play at the same tempo. Why don't we put the metronome every other beat? So we could have the metronome play on, let's say, 2 and 4. We're already good at finding the triplets, but now we have to keep track of the triplets, and we have to play 1 and 3, and the metronome will play 2 and 4. And will let us know whether we're starting to speed up or whether we're starting to slow down, if we're wavering in our consistent flow of time. So that's going to sound something like this. One and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1. Okay, now this is starting to get harder. Swing at 60 beats per minute with the metronome on every other beat, beats 1 and 3. One triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Swing at 60 beats per minute with the metronome on every other beat, beats 2 and beat 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. What would be the next hardest thing to do is cut this in half. So we've gone from 120, which is 40 times 3, back to 40. We're still at the same tempo. We're still keeping track of all the triplet subdivisions. Staying at that tempo, we've cut it in half, so we only hear every other quarter note. Cut that in half. Put the metronome at 10. Here we go. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 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 1 triplet, chang, da dang, 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 chang, da dang. So now the time is coming from me, and the metronome is letting me know if I'm going too fast, or if I'm going too slow, or if I'm playing right where I need to be playing. And that's the best way to develop a consistent groove. Swing at 60 beats per minute with the metronome on 1 beat per bar. Beat 2. Three and 4 and shuffle groove with the metronome on the middle triplet of every other beat. So like 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Funk groove with the metronome on the last 16th note of beat 2.